All right, so today is lesson 54. Make sure we're all on the same page. Lesson 54 is on page 367, and today we're talking about angle relationships. Hey, yay, relationships with angles. It's like a new MTV show. Speaking of random thoughts. All right, so in your notebooks, draw two angles that are intersecting. All right, and as you draw those two angles that are intersecting, label them, each corner, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to name two terms and define them for what these mean. And the two terms we're going to define are adjacent angles and opposite angles. While you're doing that, I'll just adjacent angles share a common vertex, so they share a common vertex. I'll get out of the way in a second. They share a common vertex and a common side. So opposite angles share a vertex but not a side. And then we'll label which ones are which. So they share a vertex, but they do not share a side. All right. So far, so good. A couple other things about opposite angles. Opposite angles are congruent. Means they're the same. So in the four angles we drew out, we can label them a certain way. All right, so angles 1 and 2 are adjacent because they are right next to each other. If you look, 1 and 2 share a vertex and they also share a common side. Angles 2 and angle 3 also share a common side. Angle 3 and 4 does as well. And then also 4 and 1. And we could say that the other way around too. But just so you know, those are the ones that share a common side. They're right next to each other. If you just look at, if you pretend one of those lines isn't there, you can see that these two are on the same side if this line's not there. You can see these two are on the same side. These two, if this line's not there, these two are on the same side, and so on. So if those are the adjacent angles, what are the opposite angles?
2 and 1.
No, because they're right next to each other. They can't be next to it. 1 and 3 is. Very good. 1 and 3 is, and there's one more.
4 and 2.
Yep. Good. Those are opposite each other. They also will equal the same amount. They will have the same amount of degrees. So their angles will be the same. All right? So far, so good? All right. Look at angles 1 and 2. On the screen, look at angles 1 and 2. Angles 1 and 2, if you add both of those angles up, what do you think you make? What does that make? If you add angle 1 and 2 up, makes a, what kind of line?
Straight.
Makes a straight line, which equals how many degrees?
180.
180 degrees. Okay, so there's a word for that. Okay, so here it is. Adjacent angles are supplementary angles. And I'll explain what that means in just a second. It's really easy. Just something you'll have to remember. Supplementary angles, which means supplementary means they equal 180 degrees. Okay, when we add two adjacent angles up, they will make 180 degrees. This is kind of important information for us to know. So we can use this information to help us figure out all kinds of good stuff. All right, got all that? All right, so let's put that to some sort of use. To put that to some sort of use, draw this shape, please. All right. So we just drew a shape. Using that information that we just discovered, we can find out all of the missing angles based off the information that I have right here. All right. The number 2 and 40 degrees are, oh, I'll give you a second, sorry. Let's see your stuff. All right. Number 2 here and 40 degrees. Are those opposite angles?
No.
Are you sure? Let's take our information. Here's 40 degrees. Straight across from 40 degrees is the number 2. Is number 2 next to 40?
No.
No. So it's opposite. What's the rule for opposite angles?
Share,
No, I mean, what?
They're congruent.
They're congruent. That means they're the same. So how many degrees is number 2?
40.
They're 40 degrees, because it's the same. So that's where I always start when you have to find out these missing angles. Well, right there, we got some key information. This has to be 40 degrees. Okay, just by knowing that those kind of angles, opposite angles, or sometimes they're called vertical angles, equal each other, we got one of the missing sides already. Now, 1 and 40 are adjacent, and I already told you that adjacent angles are supplementary, and supplementary means how many degrees?
180.
All right, so what is angle 1 then? This is, if 1 plus 40 is 180, what must 1 be?
1 must be 140.
1 must be 140. There we go. So 1 must be 140 degrees. Now, let's find angle 3. The angles of a triangle equal how many degrees? Inside a triangle, you have to add it up to 180. Well, we already have 2 of them. We have a 90 and we have a 40. 90 plus 40 is 130. So what is 3?
3 is 3 is 50.
Yep. 180 minus 130. 3 is 50 degrees. We have one left. 3 plus 4 has to make how many degrees?
180.
180.
So,
So 4 would be
130.
130. And now we got them all. So knowing those two rules, what did those two rules help us to do? We found all the missing sides. We did some geometry by knowing two rules. Okay? Adjacent angles equal 180 degrees. Opposite angles are congruent. All right? So knowing that basic information allows us to do all kinds of stuff. All right? So really good stuff for you to know. All right, so we got a little bit more to discuss. So, next thing. Draw this shape, please. So a couple things here. What I drew was a set of parallel lines divided up by a line going through it at an angle. This is called, by the way, the term for this is transversal. So a transversal is a line that divides two parallel lines. It's a third line, right? Notice my transversal is at an angle. Okay, that's just what that third line is called, so you know. Excuse me. Third line is called a transversal. All right, so a couple things we need to know. All right, so first thing is I wrote down supplementary angles equal 180 degrees, and there's another one to know. Complementary angles equal 90 degrees. They complement each other, they're going to equal 90. So you have to know those two terms. All right? So we're just keep adding stuff. Here's the next thing. Corresponding angles. Corresponding angles. They are on the same side of the transversal. And same side of the parallel. And we'll explain what that means in a second if you're not sure. All right. What's the difference between exterior and interior?
Exterior is the outside and interior is the inside.
Okay, very good. So on top of the parallel line, right here, we have the exterior. And on the outside, on the bottom, we also have an exterior. And in the middle, we have an interior. This, okay, right? You don't have to write it down, just need to realize that this is exterior because it's on the outside, and this is too, because there's nothing below it, there's nothing on top of it, but this is sandwiched in between two lines, so that's the interior, right? Because it's in the middle. Okay? So our corresponding angles on these, so they have to be on the same side of the transversal. Which one corresponds with one? Angle 1 corresponds with angle,
2.
has to be the same. It has to be on the same side of this line.
Oh, 3.
So 1 and
3.
5. They have to be the same angle, right?
Oh.
So 1 and 5, they correspond. So that is angle 1 and angle 5. So angle 3 corresponds with, they're the same angle, they're in the same position, they're both interior. This is interior, this is exterior, but they're in the same they're on the same side of the transversal, so they are right next to each other. All right, so we have angles 3 and 7. All right, what are my other two? I have two more.
2 and 6
2 and 6,
and 4 and 8.
4 and 8. Oh, I know what I wrote down wrong in our definition. I wrote something down wrong in our definition. No, I didn't. Never mind. All right. So we're on the same side of the parallel line, correct? And we are on the same side of the transversal. So that's how we can make sure that we are right on that. All right, there's two more. It's crazy, I know. There's two more and then we'll be done. And it kind of just goes with what the word is. What does the word alternate mean? Anyone know? Oh, I don't have.
Isn't alternate like switch?
Yes, we're going to switch. So we're going to do alternate interior, and I'm going to erase this word transversal because I need some room. We're going to do alternate interior and alternate exterior. Alternate means we're going to jump the transversal. All right, we're going to jump the sides of the transversal. Let's do alternate interior first. So we have to start with the interior one. So we'll start with angle 3, which is the same as angle 3. Has to be on the inside and on the other side of the transversal.
4. No, 8.
It has to be on the inside, so your choices are 4, 5, and 6. You only have one choice, because it has to be on the other side of the transversal, and it has to be interior. So you're down to 4 and 6. Which one is the same? Which one are both acute angles?
Oh.
Because they're going to have the same shape. 3 and 6. Right? Okay, now another alternate interior. Okay, where's one more? We did 3 and 6. What's the other one in the interior? There's only two choices. There's only one choice.
4 and 5.
4 and 5. Right? They're both on the inside. So, oops, I wrote that on the exterior one. That was dumb. Let's fix that. So, angle 4 and angle 5 are also alternate interior. All right, alternate exterior on the outside. So let's start with angle 1 and angle. Which one? There's only one choice. Angle 1 and angle
Angle 1.
has to be on the other side of the line.
Angle 1 and angle 4. No.
That's interior. Has to be exterior. Has to be on the outside. Angle 1 and angle
8.
Angle 8. All right. So the other one is angle 2 and angle.
Angle 2 and angle
7.
It's the only choice. All right. What that tells us. 1 and 8 are the same. 2 and 7 are the same. 3 and 6 have the same measure. 4 and 5 have the same measure. Really helpful information knowing that. All right? Knowing that rule would help you find the measures of missing angles. All right? Any questions so far? Let's do one example, and I'm going to move on with the next group. One example of this. Yours is by far the longest of the lessons of the day. So let's do one more. Two parallel lines named S and R, and a transversal named T. All right, knowing all that information, we can solve a bunch of stuff. which angle in all those angles corresponds to F? There's only one choice.
G.
Okay, first off, correspond has to be on the same side of the transversal and the same part of the parallel line. So it's angle F and angle, so F is on the right side of the transversal, and it's on top of its parallel line. Which one's on the same side and also on top of its parallel line?
Oh, B.
B. Angle B corresponds with angle F because the definition of correspond, you're going to have to remember this one, is it has to be on the same side of the transversal and the same position on the parallel line. So B and F correspond to each other. All right, what are the two alternate interior angles on this shape? What are the two alternate interior angles on this shape? The two alternate interior angles.
Alternate interior angles like C
C and
H.
they have to be on the same, they're opposite sides of the transversal, opposite sides, but they have to be both in the middle. So this is the middle, C, D, E, F. So which one is it? So- F and C
And D and E.
and D and E, because they're both in the middle, alternate interior. Interior is the middle ones. Okay, what are the two alternate exterior?
A and H and B and G.
Perfect, you got it, Nathan, you got it. Any questions? So you just need to memorize the rules. It's the biggest thing on this. All right, so memorize those rules. It's just